our market cap is probably like in the low 1 million.
Not including expenses and staffing.
And to give you context, like I think the average micro gym does about $250,000.
But you're now officially a published author.
Yeah.
Why did you want to write a book, and what has happened as a result of it? Don't quit your job, or maybe you do. But if you're thinking about opening a gym or starting a business, today I'm interviewing Eric Freedom, and we're talking all things about running a gym, publishing, and being an author. All that and more coming up next. All right. Yep. Well, welcome, Eric. Thanks for jumping on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So real quick, I want to know for the audience, what do you do? What's the origin story?
Hey, you just really turned that on right now.
Why?
You just became Josh Baldovino podcaster right now. Wow. Guys, what people don't know is we just had 2 hours of Korean barbecue. All right. What's my origin story?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, in a nutshell, I am Southern California, born and raised son of 2 immigrants from Taiwan. I am a husband, father of 3 children. I've been in the fitness industry for 14 or 15 years now. Owned a gym for the past 10, and I've been like doing health consulting coaching since 2016, so 7 years or so.
Okay.
And you know, my tie to you is through fitness, but I'm getting into a little bit of investing, and it's very challenging to multiply your income in the fitness industry. So I'm looking into real estate and other things to create a legacy for myself and my children. But that's kind of a little bit of me, yeah.
So context for the audience.
Yeah.
We met, what year was that? Is that like
2014?
On Oahu. You dropped into a gym.
I dropped in. I was training to compete. So it was my first year of owning the gym. And I was on a vacation that I didn't feel like I deserved to be on. Because first of all, I couldn't believe that I took 4 days or 5 days away from the business. It was a 1-year-old business, and my wife was paying all of our bills.
Wait, can I pause you there? How did you even have money to go on vacation?
So check this out. So let me give you context. Year 1 of owning our gym, we lived off of my wife's take-home income of $3,000 a month.
Okay, beans and rice.
So here's the thing: is like $1,500 was rent.
Okay.
And we actually saved money.
Beans, rice, and Costco rotisserie chicken.
I actually think, like in hindsight, I felt like I ate really well. I was cooking all my meals.
Okay.
But most of my meals were ground turkey with broccoli or green beans.
Okay.
And it was either a sweet potato, rice, or potato.
Okay.
And I probably ate that for like 120 days.
So you lived modestly. You went on vacation, and that's where you met.
And that's where we met.
So one thing that I've noticed about you that we've had a conversation over the year is that there is very, very little business owners in general, let alone people in the fitness space who can own a gym, own their business, and have an actual operator that they can trust to run their business. How long did it take you to get to that point?
That's a good question. I'm very fortunate. So I have like my longest standing staff is almost 10 years. He's 9 years with me.
Wow.
So that's my head coach. It's also a person that's like kind of like my younger brother.
Okay.
So I kind of have like 2 right hands.
Okay.
I have my general manager who's been with us for 4 years. Man, that went by quick. It felt like yesterday, but COVID makes you either grow closer or break apart really quickly, right? So how did I get to this point? I would say that we probably would have got there over a longer period of time if not for COVID. We basically went through war together.
Okay.
So everybody that has made it with me as a staff member, pre-COVID to post-COVID, like we're ride or die. We ain't never leaving shit. We're never breaking up. Even my part-timers, like I have 2 part-timers on my team, and I don't ever see them ever leaving the team unless they were to move like up here.
Okay.
Like,
so COVID bonded the staff.
Yep.
And for more context, one thing that's really interesting, again, we're talking about Cody Sanchez, Alex Himosi made buying businesses or starting your own businesses even more sexy than it was before. Yeah. And not all businesses are sexy. Yeah. And from my own experience, and if the audience doesn't know, I used to own a CrossFit gym and a CrossFit clothing brand. And very, very few, thank you for wearing the Maui Strong shirt. That's like the comeback. And then I didn't even know that you got one.
I did.
But very few gym, like I would consider you the 1% of gym owners.
Sure.
And so
it's very sad. Very sad that the bar's so low.
But I mean, and I really wanted this too, is like, what do you think is the percentage of small business owners that actually are able to step away and legitimately, if they wanted to take a whole month off, could? That's got to be less than 10%.
Yeah. It would for sure
Being
be
less than 5?
You need to define what off is.
Like not have to check it. Like could literally go off the grid for a month and it would be exactly the same as they stepped back.
So to be fair, I haven't stress tested that yet.
Okay.
I was, so to give you context, when did this really start? I'll go back and answer that now.
Okay.
In 2018, we were 5 years in, and my right hand, or my little bro Luke, and our head coach, he brought up at a staff meeting on a Friday night one night, said, "Hey, Eric, we've all already planned this out. You're about to have your second kid, and we see how hard you work. We'd like you to go on a 1 month sabbatical." Yeah. So they arranged it behind my back. And I kind of sat there and I was like, you guys don't get to decide that for me. But I was also very, it tugged at my heartstrings. I cried. I really appreciated it because I felt like, wow, these people really care for me and really want the best for my family. So that was the first time I ever did it. Was 2018.
Okay.
And I fully stepped away for they did not allow me to step in the gym, check emails, or communicate with them for 4 weeks. And we were still open after a month. So it was probably 2018.
Okay.
But I would say that to answer your, I would say a very small percentage of small businesses can the principal operator typically step away. I mean, it really depends on what industry you're in, right? It's like for example, liquor store. I have friends that their parents own liquor stores. They still work 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Because the liquor stores are typically long hours, right? They're usually open
they're open late.
16, 18 hours a day. So let's call it 20 times 7, 140 hours a week. They're working at least half. And they're only really hiring people for the shifts so that they can go to sleep.
So what for you in terms of systems, and yes, it's staffing, but what trainings did you put in place to then be able to get to that point?
Yeah, it's a great question. So things early on were very different from the way they are now. I actually had a great meeting with my head coach about this because he's in charge of onboarding all of our staff and getting them to become good enough coaches.
Okay.
Where there's a minimum entry that you need to be good enough, and then we develop you, and he draws the line on who's good enough to develop.
And then just extra context. How many members do you have? How big is it? How big is the staff now?
We have a 11-person team.
Okay.
Full-timers, we have 11-person team. 2 of them are physical therapists, though. They're finishing residency. So they're not going to be full-time with us until mid next year.
Okay.
So we will have 2 more full-timers, but we have, out of all those, only 1 person is part-time, and everybody else is either full-time or working towards full-time.
Wow.
So that is unique in the micro gym.
I don't know anyone that has that much in one location.
Jason does.
Does he have? He does have 11. Well, maybe I guess on HQ side, but
no, he has 30 staff over 2 locations. So yeah,
But but I'm talking about
be fair, they have digital though. Yeah, so
that's a lot of staff. Okay, but okay.
So
then what's the system?
Yeah, so systems wise, we have a 4,000 square foot location, and we have about 140 to 150. We range between 140 and 150 clients that we serve.
Okay,
it's all in
140, 150. You're able to support that much staff on one location plus your livelihood. Yeah. You are going the premium model. Look at you, man.
So we are the results-driven model. That's what we're doing.
I like it.
Yeah.
I thought for some reason I thought you had more members than that.
No, we have 100. Yeah, I could check right now for you if you like, but I think we have 140 something.
That is the right way to go.
So what we look like for growth, what it looks like for us is we're definitely not bursting through the seams yet. We're not at the point where we are only going to grow digitally. We do have we still have brick and mortar growth potential, and we're looking at we probably grow by servicing in person maybe another 40 people. Okay. So 40 divide that by another 30% growth.
Okay.
Before we have to figure out I actually had a conversation with Jason about this morning. Is our market cap is probably in the low 1 million.
Okay.
It's 1.2 maybe. And I don't think,
and that's gross, not including expenses and staffing.
And I don't think that we can it's unless we move or something changes, I don't think we could ever do better than that. Yeah.
Yeah, because and
that would be already so to give you context, I think the average micro gym does about $250,000.
Okay. When you first started the gym, how much did you think that you would actually be able to make?
So when I first started the gym, my goal was to make $2,000 a month. I was 25 years old.
Okay.
So my goal is to make like 30K a year.
Yeah.
And because keep in mind, like we were living off 3, right? So
Yeah.
we're living off 3 and we saved money. And to give you context, like we didn't feel poor. We didn't feel like we were missing out on life or struggling. At the time I was driving a 98 Tacoma that I bought for $3,000. My wife was driving my Honda Fit that I bought. So like we had 2 cars. We didn't have to share a car. And our expenses were just like low. Like, so I think for me at that point, like that's what I wanted. 5K was like, if we can make 5K between the two of us, like that's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. No children.
I mean, and obviously as you have kids, it will just naturally get a lot more expensive, but your business grew as well.
Yeah.
I know for me, as I think about grooming number 2s in businesses, how have you been able to keep your number 2 for a decade?
I think number 1 is he's very unique. So he's special.
Okay.
Because I know that what we have. So what I do know in our industry is that what I have on my team is a unicorn. It's not. We have the Golden State Warriors. We joke about all. We call ourselves like one year we made our Christmas card and it was the Golden State Warriors with all of our faces cropped on there.
Wait, so you're in LA, but you call yourself the Warriors?
I mean, at the time they were goating, bro. I couldn't deny it. KD, bro. Like KD lost to you guys in the playoffs, and then there was like, you know what? Can't beat them. Join them. Like it was like y'all could have had so many more rings. Like
I know
you guys could have had so many more rings. But I think it was the salary caps, right? They couldn't keep everybody.
Okay. And drama, but whatever.
Yeah, and drama. But man, like so we often feel that way. Like we have an amazing team. I think he and I just happen to like get along really well. I genuinely believe him. He was like the first. He started with us when he was 18 years old. He made really big life decisions at a very young age. He thought about going to San Diego for school, but stayed in LA. He stayed and went to Azusa Pacific University to stay at the gym and potentially build a career here. So he's given up a lot too. And I think because it's almost like it goes back to the COVID example of like we've gone through so much war together, and it's just made us he knows that I genuinely want the best for him, and I know that's a reciprocated relationship.
Okay.
So we want to see each other win, and we want to see all of our team win to that same level. So,
and then does anyone else have equity in the business?
No, I'm the sole owner. Yeah.
Okay. Have you
wife-
thought about that?
Huh?
Have you ever thought about that? Like when?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've actually never told this story before. So when Luke graduated from college, he asked me if there's potential that he could have equity in the business.
Okay.
And I was like, no chance, bro. You're like, you just graduated college. And I think he graduated college the same way that a lot of us do. It's like, oh, I graduate and I think I should get like a 6-figure salary now, right? And I was like, buddy, that's not the way the world works, man. You know? So again, like going back to the big brother, like we've grown a lot as people together. So you're saying like, would I give equity away? I've had potential silent partners offer.
Okay.
Yeah. And they gave overvaluations on their offer.
Okay.
And I said no.
Okay.
Because what they would, I'll share what was, because they won't know, like people won't know who it is. But
don't name any names, but just
I'm not gonna. Yeah, so I basically got a just over 6-figure offer, low 100K offer for a 15% equity in my business. So do the math really easily. What's that valuated at?
I made 1.5 then, right?
Exactly. There's no chance the gym was worth 1.5 million.
At that time.
So that's one of the offers. And I bring this as an example because I think it'll kind of encompass the heart of all of the offers that I've ever gotten. There are people that want to say they are co-owners of a gym for whatever reason it is. And I assume that it's like, oh, then I won't have to pay. So they're kind of like people that are like, oh, like I wouldn't have to pay for membership. And then I get access and then I get to say I'm an owner. But I made it very clear, like, even if this worked out, you'd be completely silent. You have no voting power and you're like, you're throwing away money.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get paid back. Like not what you want. Right. So they still wanted to do it. And then I've had other people that have said, would you give away equity if I invested in you? And this is, so I had people that said that they would invest personally, like about $250,000 or so.
Yeah. But
they would also go borrow SBA money and bring in money into it. So basically I would have to give them a part of our business so that we can qualify for loans together. And then what we do is we go build more gyms, leveraging off our mothership loan. So I said no to those deals. And I said yes to maybe if you want to be co-owner of the second location or third location, I'm open to doing a deal where like I'll be the minority owner, you're the majority owner, but you get a licensing right plus my help. And those never panned out for good reason.
So if someone said, man, I want to quit my W-2 and open a gym, what would you tell them?
I would probably ask questions about like what kind of lifestyle they want.
Yeah. I mean,
because there's all sorts of ways to skin the cat when it comes to like opening a gym too, right? Like there's different kinds of gyms. I own a very specific type of gym.
Yeah.
It's like a micro gym, right? You can own a big box type of gym, right? I think I would be able to own a big box type of gym and feel very unemotional about it. Because that's kind of the model of the big box gym. It's like people are barely people; they're just a number, right? And that'd still be hard for me, honestly. Like I don't know if I could do that.
You're an emotional guy.
Yeah, I'm an emotional guy, right? So like I feel attached to the end user.
Yeah,
and I want to help. I want to know the end user. So, but there's different ways to do it, and I think you just got to figure out the one that you want.
Would you say that it is more on the micro gym side? It is definitely more of a passion play.
100%. It is a lifestyle vocation. So it is one where like you have to love being in the gym. I would say like if you want to talk like from an investor's point of view, or if you want to like
run it.
I think it is probably the worst asset class to invest in. Like if you're looking at asset classes, like because it's like you won't reap the benefits of like that are gym specific if you don't like it, right? It's like because like if you're like a gym fitness nerd or a fanatic, like you got to think about the things that you like already, and now how can you leverage it from a write-off standpoint? Like if you're a geek about fitness equipment, well, guess what? You just earned yourself this right to buy as much fitness equipment as you want, and you get the high of that, and you justify it as an expense, right? But it's like how much? I mean, being in it for 10 years, like you know what works and doesn't. It's like that high doesn't last very long. It's not that cool, right? So I think there's certain things that are cool that you can leverage, but again, it's like I think ultimately it's like any other profession where it's like it's going to require a level of being pro, and it is a very unique skill set that you will need to have to own and operate and run a micro gym well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you let me know if you want to go into this or not. But you spent today with Jason Khalipa.
Okay.
And for people who don't know, he won the CrossFit Games at one point. He has one of the most successful gyms in the Bay Area, if not, I mean, I would say.
Yeah, he's
in general.
I say between him and Kelly Starrett, I think he sold. I think Kelly Starrett exited.
Okay.
But before they exited, I would say that word on the street. I mean, I don't know their numbers, never seen them.
Yeah.
But I heard that they used to do the best when they used to pull equipment out of these shipping containers. Like they were
There's
like
no overhead.
They were on a dock. I mean, they had overhead, but it was just.
But it's minimal
they
compared
ran like
to
a 400-member gym out of that or something like that, which is insane. And then they ended up they changed it to a different location, which still did really well. But I think their best model was when it was almost like an underground fight club.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. But then go back to Jason Khalipa.
Yeah.
What's been this past day that you started training and working with him?
Yeah, I was doing a brain dump, and I know what you're going to ask. Yeah, go ahead.
I want the takeaways. What's the takeaways?
Man, I haven't completed the brain dump, but I would say so far the value of I think being around him. Okay. One of my big takeaways is I think I'm already very inspired. Yeah. Just by being near him. Yeah. So proximity, I think, is one of my takeaways is that proximity is incredibly underrated, and I think there's even like a value to it. Like I think like there is a value that people should consider paying for proximity for multiple reasons, and I won't name but just like being in the room with a person and having like an open conversation is completely valuable because they know things you don't. Right. So it depends on what kind of learner you are.
It's a cheat code.
It's 100% a cheat code. Right. So I think that was a huge takeaway for me. The second one was just the way that he's a leader, his presence, his ability to we met. So he didn't tell any of his employees that we were showing up today. Okay. Nobody knew. The only person that knew was his wife and anybody involved with. So it's like I think his president knew because he didn't go to certain meetings today and say, "Oh, I'm hanging out with Eric." So we showed up and he met someone. It was like a front desk that was, I guess, within a 3-week hire, and he didn't know who she was. And the way that he walked in, introduced himself, his ability to navigate the room. We walked into the middle of classes. Yeah. And he didn't go in and dominate the room, and he didn't draw attention away from the class. the way that he was able to insert himself at the right times and give people high fives, and just like he was there to bring. So my biggest takeaway is like when I go back home is like it made me really reevaluate what is my role when I do show up to my brick and mortar. Like what kind of energy do I bring? And I think from a leadership standpoint, that's what people, I think a lot of us like that are inundated with the day-to-day, we forget the value of what it means to show up for our people.
Yeah.
And he's just an excellent example of that.
I've always really admired people who can command the room in the right way, whether it be leading a class, public speaking out in front of a huge forum, or even if it's just a one-on-one conversation, like someone who's able to expertly navigate all of those social situations. It's hard. It's really hard. And it takes just the right amount of charisma, confidence, humor.
Yeah.
What else? Any other major takeaways?
He doesn't compare, I mean, not compared to his games level, but I think he has a lot of residual fitness for sure. I think one of the big takeaways was just like, I think because he and I have a lot of alignment.
Yeah.
This is our first time ever hanging out. And like, there was a feeling of like, I mean, at least he made me feel this way that we could be friends.
Okay.
And I don't know what he stands to benefit from treating me that way.
Yeah.
But I like he made me genuinely believe like that we could be great friends. And the connection, like he wasn't like, it didn't feel like he was overly trying to connect with me. He was a great listener. And he like, when I shared about my problems, he genuinely tried to listen and give me solutions.
Yeah.
And I think a big takeaway was, I've been in a process of trying to figure out what I'm doing next.
Okay.
And I think what he really helped me reframe was, and just watching his life is, I think if you really know what you want and you're really focused on it, I mean, Hormozi says it's like, I think you can't lose if you never quit.
That's fair.
So like, I see him living that because he's been in the game since 2008. So for him, he's had 15 years in this game, and like, he's only getting better. He's only getting better. And he runs his his model is very different from ours. They're more of like they serve more of a transient community. Yeah. And they serve more people. We serve less people, right? But what he shows me is like how you can do every little thing with excellence. Like I took pictures of like the way the front desk was set up, right? Not that ours is bad or anything, but I took pictures of like, we have like a opening and closing checklist. Like I took a picture of his because his just looks cooler. And I like it. I want to show it to my GM. Yeah. The way they highlight the members of the month. I like the unique way that they do it. The way that their storage room is stocked. I took pictures of it. I liked the way it was. Didn't take pictures of the bathrooms. We talked a quick like layout and just it was just the excellence in the micro details. Yeah. Like you could tell everything was thoughtfully planned out. And I think whether gym owners or not, business owners, I think we have everything thought out, but we don't. We generally have a box, we put everything in there, and we just kind of hope it works. Yeah. Versus like, hey, even before I sign the lease, can I see the dimensions of this space? All right, how are we going to maximize every square inch of this space? It's like going to a house that's like really. That's why IKEA showrooms are like done really well, because what they do is they show you that you can fit an entire house into 240 square feet. Yeah. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. It's like, but they do it because of the way that it's logistically planned out.
Yeah. They do an awesome job.
Yeah.
So thinking about the business, if someone said, I want to buy a business, just in general, what direction maybe would you now point them to? Seeing gyms are cool, but the grass maybe isn't always greener, or even if it's green at all. What things do you think are good opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what I'm looking at now, right? It's a good question. I mean, I know all the right answers, like the YouTube answers and the grow your side hustle or passive income answers, right? We're talking businesses or like talking like different asset classes. So like I would say, I mean, my big takeaway was like, I mean, how much money do we have to buy the business? Like, what are we talking? Okay. Because that changes the answer, I think.
It does. Okay. Well, okay. How about this? Let's play with a few different scenarios. Okay. If someone actually wanted to start a gym, how much money? Let's just say today? CrossFit.
Yeah,
today.
Good question.
How much would they need?
In today's money, $200K.
Okay. And it's obviously yours or get it funded.
$200K would be modest. Yeah, that would be a very humble way to start it. 200 way would be the way that I started it with 60 back then. Yeah. 10
That's
years ago.
fair. All right. So if we had $200,000 to play with,
Yeah.
man, that's a few different things that you could buy with that.
There's better investments, man. I'm telling you right now.
All right. So where would you park 200 today?
Good question. I mean, 200K doesn't buy you a whole lot, but am I starting a business or am I buying real estate?
Let's go both. How about pick one business that you'd buy with 200 and then I know that you're itching into real estate too.
This is a fun game because now I already know what action I'll take once I have the 200 to do something with it. I mean, we talked about the Branson thing. If I had 200K, I'd probably highly consider that.
All right. So with one of them, you're going to buy a Branson, Missouri Airbnb.
Short-term rental. Yep. Turnkey.
It's called turn-ish key.
Turnish key. Yeah. I mean, the other one, that's a great question. I'm thinking about this one a lot. Like, what would I do with 200K? I think with 200K, I would really heavily shop a building for myself right now.
Okay.
That I could move into.
Okay.
Become an anchor tenant in, and then figure out what to do with the other.
Like a commercial real estate retail building.
Correct.
Not in a warehouse, but you want to be. I like that.
Correct. That's probably what I would do.
Retail has some pretty decent returns too. Have you looked a lot into that yet?
I'm looking right now. Yeah. So I just live in a very bad city to do. I mean, it's just.
I know. Yeah. LA is pretty tough.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. So we've looked at a couple, and then the people that are willing to invest with me in those, man, they want like a cap 6, dude. It's kind of the way that I look at my short-term rentals. So they want very unrealistic buys. Cap 6 is like, yeah. So.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna add to this one though, because we've been talking about investments for a little bit now, and you, I could tell, are a very emotional person. And so when it comes to investing, I think what's also really hard about that specific retail location and the clients that you serve, like you are high end, like high touch, and the clients that you have also probably want to be in a nicer area.
Yep.
Which may not yield the best initial cash on cash return for a retail location.
Correct.
At a certain size.
Correct.
So then it may not be like on a straight real estate transaction, the best cash on cash returns. So then you'd have to adjust your expectations.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a service business. So payroll cost of like running should be anywhere between 30 to 65%.
Yeah.
So if you do the math on the high end, if you're servicing out 65%, what do we really have left for OpEx? And then what do we have left for rent? So you do the math on that, and let's say it's and I can do the calculations real quick. Let's just say we have we'll base it off a unicorn gym at $2 million.
Okay.
Call it $2 million.
There's not a lot of gyms making $2 million. Micro gyms making $2 million.
So we'll call it a. So let's put you at a 60. Let's put you at 65% labor. Mm-hmm. Okay, and let's put you at what's healthy rent typically 20%.
I mean, if we're going micro gyms, and you're still going like warehouse type stuff, or you're trying to get into more like street facing.
Yeah. So if we're talking, let's say 20% is rent or house roof. That's $30K a month all in. That's hard to find. Mm-hmm. That's already hard to find anywhere. And then on top of that, you have OpEx. Mm-hmm. So it's you're at 85% before OpEx. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work.
So basically, you're just telling people, no, just don't open a gym now.
So your leverage points have to be. You have to it's. The rent is a huge indicator. Yeah. And then how slim you can be on OpEx is next. So it's like how do you squeeze as much juice out of your resources, not people, as possible. And some people squeeze their people, but that's not how I operate.
I get it. So what's the hardest part about being an entrepreneur?
In general, or for me personally, or
both, business, personal?
Turning it off, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. You can never
turning it off and then knowing when is enough. Those are my two. Yeah. Like for me, so to give you context, I don't know if you'll believe this, but I'm not money driven. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not money motivated. Okay. I don't feel money motivated. Like it doesn't.
I mean, I can tell the gym is still very much a passion play.
100%.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm like now completely just money motivated.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but to be fair, it's like I do have a particular standard of living, and it's like there's a layer of comfort. So it's like maybe I would be more money motivated if that wasn't the case. Yeah, it's hard to say, But yeah, I think the hardest thing is turning it off and knowing what is enough. Those are the two toughest things. I'm constantly balancing those two.
So you started the gym. It was just your wife and I. Were you guys married at the time?
Yeah, I was.
So you already married?
I was like 6 months into being married.
Okay, so newlyweds.
Newlyweds.
And then now you have 3 kids.
3 kids.
How has the dynamic and the balance changed, and how do you manage? Like what rules do you guys have in place?
That's good.
To be a family man and a businessman?
Yeah, that's a good question. We talked about this over dinner. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so what rules do I have in place? I can share my rules that I have. I don't really have any rules for my wife, honestly.
I'm sure she has rules for you.
She has rules for me. She 100% has rules for me. I don't when I think about do I have any rules for my wife?
I mean, I don't have any rules for my wife either.
I can't think of a single rule that I might have for her. She has, they're not rules to me. They are things that I think make her feel more loved.
Yeah.
Right. So like on love language and stuff like that. So one rule that I have is when I get home, I'm not supposed to use my phone. Right. So something I've been trying to practice is I got this from my buddy Matt, who's also a gym owner in Newport, in Huntington Beach. I wear my watch on my left hand all day, my left wrist all day, and when I get home, I context switch and I put the watch on my right wrist. And the reason why I wear it on my right is personally, I don't know why Matt does it, even though he's the one that shared the idea with me, is I know that when it's on my wrist, I've told myself before I go in the house, hey, it's family time when it's on the right wrist. I also hold my phone in my right wrist, on my right hand. So if I see the phone and I look at my wrist, I go, I'm not supposed to be doing that right now, right? So one rule is I'm not when I get home until my kids go to bed, I don't use my phone.
Wow.
I'm very bad at it. But I'm better than I've ever been at it. I mean, of all time.
Okay.
That's one thing I try to do. Rules. I try to date my wife. Like we try to date once a week.
You guys on a date once a week?
We go on a date once a week.
Like lunch, dinner. You guys get a sitter?
Sometimes it's lunch, but usually it's when my mom can watch the big two and we take our infant with us. But in the last 2 weeks.
Well, okay. How often are you going solo, no kids?
So in the last 2 weeks, once a week. And that's new. Only because my mom has decided to suddenly watch all 3 at the same time.
Oh.
Plus my mom. Yeah. She's amazing. So that's been really nice.
Yeah.
But we usually just eat a quick dinner and grab groceries.
Okay.
But it's nice. Mm-hmm. We even had times where I think we go and clean the house without the kids home.
I think you and I have different definitions of dates, man.
Yeah, but I think it's we feel good when the home is
put together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to be stepping on Legos and Hot Wheel cars.
Yeah. And then the most recent thing that we've done, and these aren't rules, but this is kind of a me rule. I brought this up, but I saw a clip of Jordan Peterson. He said something about you know Jordan Peterson is, right? Oh, he's a psychologist, psychotherapist. Okay. But he just talks about everybody focuses on when it comes to the family. Everybody focuses so much on what vacations are we going to go on? What experiences are we going to have and all this stuff? And if you even accumulate all the hours that you'll ever go on a vacation, they're still grossly outnumbered by the total accumulated minutes of every single time you open your door when you come home and greet your spouse for the first time. So what I did was I had a conversation with my wife and I said, hey, I'd like to, so we have a standing family meeting. And right now, because our children are young, the family meeting is me and her at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday nights. Okay. Because our kids aren't old enough to give us input, right? Yeah. But as soon as I would say once they're in their teenagers, we'll probably incorporate them and then hey, go to bed after. So I brought it up in one of our family meetings, and what I said was, hey, I brought up this idea of hey, I don't know if you thought about this. She goes, oh, there you go. This is your corny deep stuff. And I was like, no, seriously, if you think about it, we're gonna do this thing where I open the door, say, hey, I'm home, more than anything that we're gonna do for the rest of our lives. So that first interaction of how I greet you and how you greet me, have you ever considered how you like to be greeted? I mean, yes. Right. Yeah. It's and I think it's nice for the person that you love to know that. Yeah. So I personally like a little physical touch. Yeah. I'm a physical toucher, right? So it's I like a hug and a kiss. And then for her, I think it's more of for her, what she needs from me when I first open the door is when I get home is I tend to sit in my car and I do like a buffer before I walk in the house. And I told her like for her, I think she likes my tone and knowing that I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go with the family. I'm not I still don't have an AirPod in my ear, finishing on a call while my son is giving me a hug on the leg. Going, hey, I'm trying to finish this out. Like, that's not what she wants. So I know what she doesn't want. So it's like, what do I need to do to give her not that? And then for me, it's very easy. It's just affection. So it's like, that's not necessarily a rule, but it's like, this is something that we really want to get right.
Yeah. I mean, my wife and I are the same thing. It's too much. Do I check emails, check messages, check whatever it is?
And you work from home too. So
I have lately been trying to make a better effort, not only to my wife, but even to the kids too. Like Ezra comes home from school, it's the middle of the day, it's like 2:00. And like, as soon as I wrap a meeting, I try and like run out there and I try and be excited to see
like, what's up? Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like,
So,
it's like, it's and I force it sometimes because like you just got off whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But I understand the greeting thing.
Yeah. So I do that. I come in and like, I go like, hey everyone, I'm home. Like Dad's home. And then if they're watching TV, they're like, hey Dad. If they're not watching TV, like they rush me.
Yeah.
You know, they rush me and then I give them each a hug and, you know, like pat them on the head. Like, how was your day? You know, and then they go and then I always like tell them, hey, I have to greet your mom first. I have to greet your mom first. So I constantly let my kids know that so they always go like, who do you love the most? I go, I love your mom the most. I love you guys second. And then because I have to love her first so that I could love you guys. So that's what I always tell them.
Well, also because you guys are going to leave us eventually and I'll be stuck with her. So if I don't love her the most, then what?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah.
Okay. And then another thing we're talking about over dinner, and this is like, I don't know, I all parents I'm sure struggle with this, but you know, like you're leaving, like I was leaving to go meet you for dinner. And my kid goes, "What, you're going out again?" Yeah. Like how do you deal with that, man?
Yeah, that's hard. I had a mastermind trip to San Diego in January. No, not January. That was Dallas in October.
Okay.
So I had a mastermind meeting in October. Yeah. Was it October? September? I can't remember, dude. It was in Q3.
You're going to a lot of masterminds. Joking.
What did you say?
I said you're going to a lot of masterminds.
Yeah, so I travel a decent amount. And so that one was the first one where I got in the car. I drove to that one from LA. Okay. And I remember I pulled up to my buddy in Huntington Beach because we carpooled down together. And I looked at him, I was like, hey, like, where's your energy on this one? He goes, I mean, I'm going. I was like, dude, this is like the first one that I kind of feel like I don't want to go. Like I'm kind of going because of the access. Like it's too convenient to not go. Usually we're flying to like Dallas, Nashville, Miami, you know? So I was like, yeah, I was kind of like, I think this time was the first time that my kids are really old enough that they really feel it. They really feel it. And I don't know the ROI on the other side of this one that makes it feel like it's worth it for me to feel this way with them, you know?
Yeah, that's heavy. I mean, it's when they're younger and they're small and they can't communicate feelings.
So I know that explicitly. I don't know that they'll remember. But I think implicitly they will always remember how they felt. So that's what I think about a lot.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to be like, oh, I remember when you went on that trip, and they won't remember all these semantics, but they will remember what they felt implicitly, probably, and they're being formed right now. And they're going to think, so what I'm forming is like their feelings about what they feel like dad does, or how this is how my dad makes me feel because of what he does.
Yeah.
And they won't even know, they'll know it subconsciously.
I mean, I totally agree with that. And it's like, it's the hard part of not only trying to grow your business, grow yourself, not only do something for you, for the family, also just for income, to survive. And it's like always a struggle of like, I can still also want to do stuff for me, right? And like be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because it's
the toughest balance. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, like there's no right, but it's like, man, it's like, when does it end?
Yeah. I think it's tough when you're building. Yeah. Right. When you're building, it's like everything feels like it's for your family. Right. Yeah. You know, I don't have the right answer to that. That's like, it's just a hard season to be in. Like it's with young children, you know, where they can't understand what we're doing or why we're doing it. Okay. You know? Okay. Well, switching gears. Last segment I want to go into. You published a book. Yeah. Was it this year or last year? It was this year. It was this March. But you're now officially a published author. Yeah. Why did you want to write a book? Yeah. And what has happened as a result of it? Yeah, that's a good question. This is the book was for me before it was for anybody else.
Okay.
The book originally was like a compilation of like a lot of my journals. And what it took me through was this process of healing wounds, digging up skeletons, rehashing a lot of trauma of like my young upbringing. So young childhood memories, adolescence, young adulthood, relationship management, entrepreneurship, into this idea of like, you are exactly where you are because of the culmination of your experiences, of who you know, of what you've done correctly and incorrectly. And like, we are right here where we are because of those things. And like, the goal for me was like having this conversation with my previous self, right? Like, hey, if I could have been a guide to myself, this is what I would have done. And the reason why I wrote the book initially was I coached like some younger men, or I coach more guys that are older than me than guys that are not. But I feel like there's something that I've gone through that they haven't, that has helped me feel very clear and purposeful in my life. When it comes to, I don't know if you know like this, have you heard of like hedgehogging by Jim Collins?
No, but
Good to Great.
Yes, I've done Good to Great.
So in Good to Great, they talk about the hedgehog concept, where it is the perfect combination of, it's something that you're uniquely skilled to do, combined with what you're passionate about, meets what the market demands.
Okay.
And that's your hedgehog. Another example of this is like Japanese ikigai. Have you seen that before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so it's like your passions
Yep.
with your mission, I think with your vocation mixed with...
So that was you putting it all into that book.
I think it was
And that was
me,
your
my
guide.
process of getting to that
Okay.
and
And
trying to help people figure that out.
okay, two questions. Like, what does it even take to publish a book? Like, so once you have like what you want, like how long would it actually take you?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna take 6 months from when I had said like I'm ready to go like do this. I had a publisher.
Okay.
So I didn't self-publish. So that's so
What
a
does
lot
the
of
publisher actually do?
a lot actually. So in my case, they'd made like I would have had grammatical mistakes without my publisher.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
editing 100%.
Okay. And then are you putting money down for this
Yeah.
project?
Oh, for sure. So I've made from an investment standpoint. So this is the tough argument is so like on book sales alone,
Yeah.
I've lost money.
Okay.
But from what's come of it, I would say that I've made money.
As
so like
in like emotional currency or like business deals, speaking engagements?
as of like, it's become like, I think for me, like a handshake into things. It's giving me opportunities. I want to say it's kind of like, it's like a 2023 business card for me.
Got it.
Credibility in some way. People love saying like, oh, he's an author for some reason. I think there are people that love saying it more than like they like that they get to say it more than I do.
And like they haven't even read the book, but they're just saying it.
Yeah. So I think for me, it speaks to a level of like accomplishment. Like most people in their book will never write. I think everybody should write a book, by the way. Like I think everybody has a book, but being able to, so we're talking about like when I say a book, nonfiction.
Yeah.
Nonfiction book, right? And if you can write a fiction book, that's also amazing. That speaks to your creativity like crazy. But I think being able to write a book, autobiography, or I wouldn't call mine a memoir or autobiography because I think I'm too young for that. Like I had so much more life to live, right? But I was able to take things in my short-lived life, 30-something years, and I have a framework that I teach in the book.
Okay.
That helps people reach a particular result using life stories that I've reflected on myself and experiences that I've had. So I think what that speaks to is like a particular level of ability to reflect and analyze situations and see and discern and then future forward make decisions on that.
Okay.
So I think that's been the bigger takeaway. And I don't know how to put a number on that, but I think...
What's the biggest store it's opened then so far, like in your mind?
The biggest store that it's opened is for business-wise or like emotionally or...
Let's go business-wise.
Yeah, that's a good question. So since March, what's been the biggest thing? I've been approached by other people to write books, which that's not, I mean, based on that, that's not really good ROI.
Yeah.
If we're talking just strictly financial, like a financial return.
But it could even just be like a business relationship. Like, man, I ended up meeting so-and-so because
Yeah, it's been an amazing networking tool for me.
Okay.
So because people I get to touch, it's so think of it as like the ultimate long form content. Yeah. And if somebody actually reads through the entire thing, you're like if you read the book, I'd be hard pressed to believe that your life wouldn't be changed by it.
Okay.
I'm 100% certain on that. Like I think you will, if you read this book next week. I'm not trying to sell you the book, by the way, but I genuinely believe
Not sponsored.
If I genuinely believe if you read the book, like next week you'd be a better person for it, right? So that lends to an accountability of like, because now you buy in, so it's like now whatever I do, I kind of have you in my back, like you have like you're down for me now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like if I decide to go like so I'll give you an example. I probably funnel, and it sounds so bad because I hate using the word funnel. It sounds so transactional and salesy. But like I probably, without trying, funnel at a minimum 24 people to my gym every year because of my likeness.
Okay.
Like I don't advertise, I don't talk about it, but because of what they know about me, they will like try our program strictly on who they believe I am.
I get it. I believe it.
Yeah. And I've had people that said, if you ever start a second business, I'd want to invest in it or I'd want to be involved in it in some way.
That is the ultimate compliment.
Is it?
I mean, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, you have someone who knows you probably even better than you know them, just based off of reputation and what you've done. And all of a sudden they said, hey, whether it be this thing or the next thing, like I'm in it, dude, because I like you. And they're willing to put their money in. I mean, granted, it's not said and done until there's
it's easy to say it, right? Yeah, I've had that, and then I would say that there's a lot of people that have like want to do what I'm doing in some way, or want to have like it sounds so weird because like I don't think this way about people, but it makes me. I'm just gonna say it. So like I think there are people that want to be like me or do things that like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But now because of I wrote this book and they believe these things about me. Now it's like they're more bought in, and at the same time they have like this, they want something from me. Is the only way I could explain it. It's like, and it can be multiple things, and I don't know how to like tangibly explain.
Well, I mean,
I'm more interesting.
Of course, you talk about like proximity is everything before.
Yeah, but I didn't write the book to be more interesting.
Yeah,
like,
you did it for yourself.
So it's like, like I wrote it for myself, but it's like they find me to be more interesting now because of that.
It is not a bad thing to want to be more interesting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but I can tell that they find me more interesting now.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, like it's like increased my likability in some way, or like
people like if you're not moving forward, that decreases the likelihood of someone wanting to be around you.
Yeah.
And if someone's trying to also go forward, then you have to get into the going forward.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it's the same for like every single business transaction, real estate deal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right. My last question for you. What is your favorite business advice of all time?
Okay. I wrote these down for you.
Oh, come on. You don't have a head ingrained?
No, because I wanted to for sure share these. This is not business advice. This is, I think you asked me something differently, but you want business advice now?
Okay, well, I don't know how I put it in there when I sent you. But
you had said, okay, no, this one would fall under. You said, I think you originally had asked me, you wrote in the text, best piece of advice.
Yeah, favorite piece of advice. That's what I have.
Favorite piece of advice. You want favorite piece of advice or you want business advice?
Give me one each.
All right. I think this one is business, and it crosses over into like just general advice is keep your promises. Yeah. I think in today's transactional world where things are moving really quickly now and people are promising a lot of things, especially on the internet, most people do not deliver on their promises. Most people oversell, underdeliver. I rather undersell, overdeliver, because your word, as I wrote it down, your word is your bond, and we are the sum of the promises that we make. And I think people don't think about that enough. And I'll draw an analogy and I'll share a story about that. My wife, when she's really upset with me, she calls me a liar. And I get pissed when she calls me a liar because I don't think I ever lied to her, ever. Like I believe that my word is my bond. But what she says to me is, did you say you're going to do something and not do it though? She goes, that's lying. Well, that's not lying. She goes, well, then you didn't keep a promise. And I have nothing to say to that. I'm like, you're right. So I think it's not just the words that we speak, it's the actions that follow it.
Yeah.
And keeping your promises is key in business, in relationships, because it speaks about volumes about who you are from an integrity standpoint. And do you mean what you say? Do you do and mean what you say you say?
Yeah.
So
you have another piece of, okay. Yeah. So then aside from the business, what's the one you wrote down first then?
The one that I wrote down first, I wrote down two, is the first one was manage your expectations, mostly your own.
Okay, yeah, solid.
And what I say about that is I think we manage a lot of different expectations, but we forget that most of us forget to manage our own expectations. Like we have all these different things going on. The second one is, and this one took me years of, I wouldn't have learned this without, I got there a lot faster because of owning a business, is the way that someone treats you is often a reflection of how they feel about themselves.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that, but for years I would pour in, like, being in the gym industry, it's like, in the micro gym industry, it's like you emotionally pour into people. And you think they're your friends. And I want to believe that they're my friends, but I've also grown to mature enough to believe like we're transacting. We're here to get you fit at the end of the day. And I hope that like I would take no offense the very minute that we're not helping you get fit and you don't want to transact because of that. I have no problem with that. If you want to keep a relationship outside of that, sure. If sure. But know that like, I don't want to transact in this way if I'm not helping you get your result. But I think one of the most challenging things about being in our industry is I think people can treat you like they want to be your friend, but when it comes time for them to be your friend, they forget what that looks like. And that's been a tough lesson for me to learn because I've often given people, like I bring a particular type of energy. I give people a particular benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
And what happens in those situations is they take more, or you give them a little bit and they take more versus they reciprocate it back.
Okay.
But what I've learned is they don't reciprocate it back because they cannot reciprocate it back.
It's fair.
I
mean, I learned that too, like on the content side, right? You'll hear so many different things. You'll give out as much like this, like once you get into on the YouTube side, you're basically just giving without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I have a fun story about this, if this to help you kind of wrap up.
Yeah. I
had my old basketball coach. I was in high school.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna shout out if he listens to it, because I think you should, Steve. But Steve coached the Ball brothers.
Yep.
He coached Melo, Jello, and Lonzo, as well as Onyeko.
Okay.
The guy that he's in the Hawks now. And he's coached, I think, maybe 4 other NBA
Man, what
players.
a subtle flex. So, my old basketball coach also coached.
Okay. He was a public school teacher and basketball coach, right?
Yeah.
And long story short is he transferred over to Chino Hills, state titles with him, and then went to LA eventually, Fairfax, and then he just recently moved to Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm not putting your stuff out there, Steve. Sorry. But he lives somewhere in Tennessee. I don't know exactly where, okay? Somewhere in the state of Tennessee. But he called me and was like, hey, he actually called me about the book. He goes, hey, I saw you published the book. Hey, it seems like the gym's going really well. He just wanted to catch up. And he was like a mentor figure for me. I was like, of course, I'll take that call all day.
Yeah.
We've kept in touch over the years. And he was, I'm thinking about writing a book about my Ball brothers' experience and all that. I was like, dude, all day. However I can help, I would love to.
Yeah.
Right. And then he asked me all this stuff, and he asked me, he's like, my wife's been trying to get into fitness for a little bit, as a trainer and this and that. And would you be willing to just give her some advice? And I was like, I was like, actually, I consult this all the time. But what I said to him was, and I was like, I respect you. We just talked for an hour on the phone. I would give you and I would give her that time all day. But here's the thing: I don't want my words to fall on deaf ears. And so what I'm going to ask for is, if I'm going to consult her and try to help her build a business out of something that took me years to build, I would like her to have some skin in the game. However, I don't need the money. So what I asked them to do was to donate some money to one of 2 charities that I really like, nonprofits. And I need a screenshot that you donated and then you can book the call on my calendar and we'll just talk all day.
I like that.
And I think I wanted to kind of end with that because I think it is okay to ask for people, but I think you can ask in a way that, like, I don't feel slimy doing that at all. Like, I feel great. And I actually feel like when we do talk, and we will talk, she's going to get a better result now because of that.
I mean, I do aside from I like to try to play a lot. For me, when I do that, I actually already have a video that says, oh, you want to buy an Airbnb? Here's how I would buy one. You want to buy this?
Yeah.
I would buy it like this. And so when someone's like, can I pick your brains for 30 minutes? I say, watch these two first and then come back and ask me any specific questions you want on the channel. I'll answer. Like 99 out of 100 times, they never come back with questions.
And it's cool because you got the view.
I mean, I got the view, but it's like, I could have given you an hour if I didn't do that screen. And it does suck when you pour into, like, you're open to pouring into someone, but they're not actually even able to, or even like ready to take that first step. So
makes me think about how much time I've wasted of yours of asking questions about Missouri and short-term rentals. You know,
one day you'll get one.
Sometimes.
Hey, you bought a t-shirt. Hey, well, Eric, real fast, where can people find you?
Yeah. Probably easiest is on Instagram, Coach Eric Freedom. Yeah.
Easy. Hey,
my social security number is, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, I appreciate you opening up about your family, your business, all of that stuff. Or just, two dads trying to figure it out, man.
Yeah, man. Fun, good times, good catch up.
If you enjoyed that video and you want more real estate and marketing content, make sure to subscribe. See you in the next video.
Yes, sir.